Say goodbye to Atlanta Motor Speedway and hello to Echo Park Speedway. Plus, Kyle Larson backs out of a major racing deal just a week before it's scheduled to be announced. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well. Yes, it's still me. I just got rid of that thing that was on my face, but hope you're doing well on this Tuesday night, I believe it is. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Always talking NASCAR and racing on a daily basis. Finally coming down from this weekend being at the track at the Nashville Super Speedway. If you said hi, thank you so much. It was great to talk racing with some of y'all. The fact that you even recognized me or recognized the logo, that was pretty cool for a handful of y'all. Well, we got to grow this thing. We're not going to stop now. We might as well keep going. And we got a lot to catch up on. We've got some major news in the racing world to get to. And I guess let's start with the big name change for the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Pour one out for the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's been that way since 1990. No more, as Echo Park Speedway will be the new name of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. If you don't like it, well, congratulations. You got 7 years to complain about the new deal, as this part of Sonic Automotive Group, which is a part of the umbrella that Atlanta Motor Speedway falls under. Speedway Motorsports. It's owned by the Smith family. Of course, Bruton Smith, the racing tycoon. It's owned now by his sons, and they're leasing it out to name rights of the Atlanta Motor Speedway for a 7-year, multi-million-dollar deal. The money's just staying in the family. It seems like it's kind of a tax write-off, just getting thrown out. I don't. It's weird, but anyway, it's Echo Park Speedway, regardless of that. And it's not the first time we've seen a sponsorship to a naming rights to the track before. Of course, iconic Lowe's Motor Speedway for 10 years. Now it's Charlotte Motor Speedway once again. I think about Sonoma. That used to be Infineon for, I believe it was 9 years, something like that. Pour one out for Fontana. That used to be Auto Club Speedway for 15 long years up until 2023. And finally, you got Gateway. I call it Gateway still. It's Worldwide Technology, but it's not the first time that you've seen this. So yeah, the people that aren't happy about Echo Park Speedway, it doesn't really roll off the tongue great. I don't love it, but give it some time. You never know. I still think about Charlotte being Lowe's sometimes. I think we all agree the only big miss on those naming rights for tracks was Phoenix back from 2018 to 2020 when it was ISM Raceway. Glad we got that changed back to Phoenix because ISM just did not fit it. That's the only big miss, and maybe Echo Park will join that as the most recent addition to it, but give it some time regardless. Is it Atlanta Motor Speedway? It was formerly Atlanta International Raceway for the first 30 years from 1960 to 1990. But we all know it as Atlanta Motor Speedway, of course. So going to be taking some getting used to, definitely, especially that first race down there in a couple weeks at Echo Park Speedway. But let me know your thoughts down below about the new name change down in the Peachtree State. Some news that was announced yesterday I didn't catch on the channel, but it was Cory LaJoie stealing the headlines as he'll be back in the Truck Series for 9 of the final 13 races for Spire Motorsports, reuniting with his former Cup Series team almost 4 full-time years before a 10-race driver swap with Rickwell Racing for Justin Haley late last year. But he has a long partnership with Spire, and he's going to be in that 07 truck for 9 of the final 13 races, starting with this weekend at Michigan. And for Cory LaJoie, he's going to be a driver that brings a veteran presence to that seat, even though not a ton of truck starts. I think it was 5 coming into this year. But Spire has had that 07 win with Kyle Larson. They're competing for the overall owners championship in the Truck Series. And so for him to be in that seat for 9 races gives them some, stability. Cory LaJoie gets some seat time, and there's some fans definitely having Cory LaJoie's comments from earlier. I think it was in January, talking about, well, I didn't want to race in the Truck Series. It was reported he was in the running for that 19 seat from MHR Racing that Christian Eckes really ran well in last year. One of the greatest full seasons in truck history to not win a championship, but the consistency was there. And Cory LaJoie had those comments that famously caught a lot of people's attention. I don't want to race in front of 12 fans, get trophies to pump my ego up, but here we are. He's in the Truck Series. I'm going to give Cory LaJoie the benefit of the doubt, though, because he did sign on to be part of the Amazon Prime's TV coverage, and I think he's done really well. He's got a great media presence. He does really well on camera. Of course, his Stacking Pennies podcast that has been sponsored by NASCAR. He may not come out right and say it. I think part of the reason he didn't want to take that full-time Truck Series ride was probably wouldn't have given him the opportunity to be on Amazon Prime. And Cory LaJoie is thinking long-term, not just a couple more years of racing. I get it. It may not have been the right way he had said it, but that's at least my theory. I'm giving Cory LaJoie the benefit of the doubt because it really is adding to that Amazon Prime post and pre-race coverage with Carl Edwards, the rest of that whole crew. It just, I can't speak volumes enough for it. And for Cory LaJoie, getting more time in that Spire seat with the Truck Series, a competitive ride, it's a win-win for both sides, I think. But like, I know fans are going to be definitely bringing up those comments from earlier in the year about the fans pumping up the ego. It's bound to happen, of course. And finally, some news that broke late last night across the world in Australia, as Kyle Larson was scheduled next week to be announced in the Supercars finale at Adelaide. That's no longer going to be the case, according to Speed Cafe, reporting that Larson stunned the promoters by backing out just a week before this was scheduled to be announced. He was going to run the Adelaide Supercars finale race plus a sprint car feature. Now this, of course, on the heels of Kyle Busch doing the same thing last year, saying, well, I just can't do it. Seems like it's a one-sided pipeline right now with supercars to NASCAR, not NASCAR racing and supercars. But again, this is on the heels of Kyle Larson's disastrous Memorial Day double, whether he'll admit it or not. It seemed like the whole month just grinded him down, and then culminating with another weekend where rain got into the delay part for the 500, and then he had the whole Scott McLaughlin thing, and then spun twice at the NASCAR Coke 600. You could just see Kyle Larson saying, I don't think I'll do the double again. And maybe this is another reason, 28 straight races in the NASCAR season and the long season before the November finale in Phoenix. Maybe Hendrick Motorsports is saying, okay, well, then the season's over. Let's focus on our day job before we got our eyes on immediately flying to Australia across the world and competing in more events that don't have to do with your day job. I don't know, but I think that Kyle Larson definitely has shown that maybe even Superman can't take on the entire world. He's biting off a little bit more than he can chew. And again, this is with Kyle Busch saying no last year. That pipeline for supercars to NASCAR is only one-sided right now, and I think it's just the timing of it. It's the same thing with the double, with Kyle Larson saying it's such a tight window. It all has to go perfect. Maybe not necessarily the same exact dramatic sequence, but for NASCAR, it's such a long season. And then immediately, once November wraps up and your season's over, you're going to fly across the world and compete in Australia in a series that you're just basically out there just to expose yourself and the NASCAR community. It's great. It's a great idea. These guys are wiped out after a long season. So I think that the timing is just tough to make any sort of NASCAR supercars appearance work on the NASCAR side right now, unless the driver is just super committed, or someone like Shane Van Gisbergen goes over there and does some sort of appearance in that Adelaide finale. But still, surprising to say the least for Kyle Larson to drop out just a week. It seems like everyone else was expecting this to go forward, and then this got the rug pulled out from under it. But let me know your thoughts down below about that NASCAR Supercars pipeline, one way or the other. Who do you want to see in the NASCAR world competing over there? Sign me up for AJ Allmendinger in the Supercars world. I think that would be fantastic. Maybe Chase Elliott also. It sounded like Kyle Larson was getting sponsorship from Napa, so potentially you could roll that over into there. But I think there's a couple different guys you could make a case for, even Austin Cindric, someone like that with his IMSA background. I think it would be interesting to see, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below about what we talked about today. Atlanta's name change. It's now Echo Park Speedway. Cory LaJoie back in the Truck Series, eating some crow, according to the fans, and then Kyle Larson dropping out of his Australia race late in the announcement calendar there. Make sure to like this video if you like what you saw. Subscribe to the channel for more NASCAR content here at Breaking Pop. It does help me out a ton. And again, for those that said hi this weekend at Nashville Super Speedway, I do appreciate that. That was very cool to talk some racing with some of y'all, and let's grow this thing. So keep it moving, folks. I'll see you next time for the next video. Stay tuned for more.